Hi dear friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited because I have a completed flip through today. I actually finished a journal. This is a huge milestone. Yeah, I've really been working on finding my own style, and over the last year I've been experimenting with all different kinds of journals and different ways of journaling, and I have finally found something that really works for me, I think, and I'm really coming into my own style and aesthetic. It's so funny to see like the first few pages of this journal to the last few pages. My style has changed drastically, and I just love seeing how my style and my art is evolving over time, and I'm just continuing to learn more and more about myself, and I'm having such a good time doing it. And I have to say, I am so proud of myself for finishing every last page in this journal. If you've watched any of my flip throughs, you've seen that I tend to kind of want to move on from journals very quickly. Typically after like a month and a half, I'm kind of like, ugh, I'm ready to like move on to something new. But I stuck it out with this one. I started this one on December 29th. And actually like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I posted to my Instagram stories that she was getting really thick. And I was like, should I finish her? Should I move on? Everyone was like, just let it happen. Just finish her out, do it. And I was like, okay, I'm committed. I'm going to fill up every single page in this journal. And I did, and she is massive and I love her. Maybe a little bit too alligator mouth for me, but I do love a thick journal, but I probably will have to tie something around her so that way she sits on the shelf a little bit more compacted. But anyway, this was such a good time to complete, and I cannot wait to show you everything that's in here and just how my art is evolving.
Not only has the inside of my journal evolved, but I even changed the cover a little bit from when I first made it. I do have a video where I made this journal, which will be linked in the description if you want to see the before and after. So to be honest, I was kind of unsure about how I felt about the cover even from the get-go, but I did add a few things to it along the way, like the gold velvet ribbon and the gilding and glitter along the edges. But I think it's totally okay to make things that are not so perfect and just letting them be as they are rather than forcing a perfect final product, which at the end of the day I think just causes even more kinks in your creative flow. At least that's been my experience. So these are the first 2 pages I made starting on December 29th, and these have been my typical spreads that I've been making in my junk journal planners for months. I would write out my daily to-do list along with incorporating some form of collage with some random scrap papers or trash or even like some magazine cutouts. I would also oftentimes jot down little snippets from my day or very brief thoughts I was having, or sometimes even a quote or a song lyrics or something. I also added various trim to some of my pages early on, and then I kind of did away with that in the later half of my journal because it was just getting extremely bulky, and even without all of the extra trim, it's already bulky, but I do like having trims and things kind of poking out of my journals to create more interest with the different textures, and for me, the messier a journal looks, the better. I just absolutely love all the chaos. So here's where I feel like my journal just started to take a turn. I was evolving out of the junk journal planning and more so just making creative spreads solely for the purpose of creating art and not so much for the practicality of, making lists and planning out my days and such. I'm still using magazine cutouts and paper scraps mostly, but now I'm really starting to explore a more playful side of myself and just experimenting with different paints and doodling and just kind of mashing together different medias. Last summer, I really started stepping into a more vibrant and colorful aesthetic in my journaling, but then in the colder months, I feel like I reverted back a little bit to more darker themes. But honestly, I've been feeling so free and so much more myself the brighter the color palette. Don't get me wrong, I do still love a really good grungy vintage aesthetic and just love incorporating some darker elements here and there, but overall I just feel happier when I'm using lots of vibrant colors. I always loved color, especially when I was a makeup artist. My looks were oftentimes very in your face and colorful, but somewhere along the way I felt like I had to tone myself down and grow up or something, which is so crazy to me to think of now, but I'm just grateful that I've been able to find my way back to my roots and express myself more authentically now. So these next few spreads that you're going to see are from when I was on vacation, and I'm really so glad that I brought all of my journaling things with me because I feel like it helped me to keep up the momentum of my creativity flow while I was away, and it also was just really inspiring being able to create in a totally different environment. This is where I discovered making trash tags, which I made a video about, and as I said in that video, this scrappy sort of journaling card, they're not a revolutionary thing. People have been already doing them, come to find out, but I had never made one before, and I got to discover something completely new that I really enjoy doing now because I had minimal supplies with me, so it really forced me to think outside the box. Full disclosure, something that I found out about my journaling is that I really dislike memory keeping. I know that's such a weird thing and I can't explain it, but I'd rather just be creating something entirely different. So the fact that I dedicated 6.5 pages to my vacation took so much energy out of me to have to go back in time and remember everything and write down what we did. Anyway, I digress. I won't be doing a ton of memory keeping going forward, and I'm totally at peace with that. With that being said, though, I really do like how the pages turned out, and there's some really precious memories that I can look back on. Okay, so here's where things really started to take a turn in my journal, and I dove headfirst into painting and mixed media techniques. I think mixed media really scratches an itch in my brain because, as I said before, I just love looking at chaos, which is so weird for me because if you know me, my life is very slow and quiet and not chaotic at all, but maybe that's why my art feels chaotic because there's probably, I don't know, it probably is creating some sort of equilibrium in my life somehow. I don't know, but I've always appreciated mixed media, but I just have so much more respect for these artists who specialize in this kind of art because it's not so cut and dry, and there's a lot of learning balance and how different colors and textures melt together and just creating a whole cohesive concept. It's a whole art in itself, and I just love being a student of life and always learning something new. There's a spiritual teacher by the name of Carrie Kay that I follow here on YouTube, and I heard her say something recently that really resonated for me, and she said, "Art is not about perfection, it's about flow. Let go of what you think the flow should look like. Just let it unfold without steering and domineering." And this really sums up how I've been treating this season of my art journey and just my life in general, to be honest, which is all about surrender and trusting in the process of creation. And the perfect example of this is how I just no longer feel the need to do any planning in my journal. And I just followed my intuition, and it led me to creating some really fun and different things that I'm so happy with. And some things that I'm also not so happy with, but all in the name of just experimenting and learning more about what I do like. So if I can give one piece of unsolicited advice to anyone who's maybe feeling a little bit lost with their art, try to turn off your analytical mind just for a minute. Take a breath and listen to your heart. If whatever you're creating doesn't make sense, just go with it. If you're creating it, it's because it's something that wants to come to life through your hands. And it's just leading you to where you need to go if you just let go of that control. Anyway, I hope that any of that I just said makes sense or resonates for you. So we're almost to the end of this journal here, just a couple more spreads, and we have made it to the end. I'm so proud of myself. If you want to see my new journal that I'll be working in, which is completely handmade, no composition notebook this time, then let me know in the comments and I can do a before flip through of that. Yeah. I hope you create something that makes your heart really happy today, and I'm sending you so much love and big hugs. And I'll see you soon in another video. Bye!